Mean Girls, there was a couple of like moments where you're like, oh yeah, I get it, but never with the lead.
Oh.
Yeah, with the girl that played Katie. Yeah, just kind of like, maybe she was tired. I don't know.
Just not bringing a lot of...
Yeah. So I asked Parvati, who up until this point had always said, like, Mean Girls is her favorite. It's her favorite. It's her number one. Yeah. So we walk out of there, and I said, so, after everything we've seen now, where does it land? She's like, I still like it. So where does it land?
Yeah.
She's like, I think Moulin Rouge is still my number one. And I was like, okay, I can understand that.
It's an spectacle.
Yes, it is a spectacle.
The second it starts, you're like, whew.
Yeah.
It's funny because when I went, it was like that weekend before Thanksgiving, right? So all the parade participants were there, the Thanksgiving Day parade. And there's always that massive group of dancers.
Yes.
That they Dance America or something like that. They were there.
Oh. Wow.
And I thought, this is going to be fun.
It's
like this is a dancer's show.
You're talking about like the 500 group of dancers?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Nothing. The whole show, I was like, are we watching the same thing? And maybe they were just exhausted. I don't know.
Or maybe they're being very critical. Like,
that could be.
That.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Maybe they were like...
It's easy to be judgy.
I do Italian yoga, like how your ladies were.
Monday through Friday.
Funny.
Silva sneakers.
All right. Well, welcome to the Drama Mamas.
Yes, welcome. We're so glad you could join us.
It's like I'm on NPR.
Don't set that bar that high.
I know. I don't think we're allowed to be on there because I cuss.
Oh, okay. Right.
And we're super casual.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just
super. So I'm
They
Kristen.
censor it out on there.
And I'm Kathy.
And today we have Tyler Campbell. Yay!
I had so much fun online stalking you this morning.
Oh. What'd you find?
Nice.
Yes. Good. Oh my gosh. So much I didn't know about you.
Really?
Yes. You're like a little bit of everything.
Oh, gosh.
All wrapped up in a
Well, okay, so probably the biggest surprise to me about you was to learn that you were an English teacher, because that was not at all what I expected, how we had kind of come to know you, like through Jordan.
Right.
And so, like, when I found that out, I was like, well, how did all the rest of that happen?
Yeah.
So,
okay, well,
catch us up.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so...
journey.
A little fast about your
So I should probably start by saying that I've come from a musical family.
Yes.
It's just in the genes. My grandfather led worship for like 30 years.
Okay.
So church music was always really very present. Lessons as a kid, decided I wanted to go to Harrison when I got to 8th grade because I had some friends that went, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Let's see what that's about. And then from a theatrical point of view, that didn't really start till my sophomore year at Harrison. They said, hey, we need a rehearsal pianist for the fall show. And I was a freshman and didn't know any better. And they're like, you think you should do it? And I was like, well, okay. I didn't know any better.
You were in the piano
right, I was in the piano department.
Right, okay.
And they handed me 175 pages of music. And I was like, excuse me? What did I just sign on for? Now, luckily, I had the whole summer, but that was kind of like the entry level. And then I ended up doing 5 more shows while I was at Harrison.
Wow.
So
on piano, or did you like
both?
Okay.
Both. Mm-hmm.
Right, because you also act and sing as well.
I like to say I'm a singer first, then an actor, but you know.
Okay.
Before I ever knew you, I'd heard about you because Jordan would talk about her friend Tyler. And
all the time. All the time. Yes.
But I didn't know.
And I was like, who is this guy? Why have we not met him?
Yeah. So you sang at our church, and my husband leaned over. We've never met him.
Okay.
And Alex leans over and he goes, I want him to sing at my funeral.
Oh, that's actually a really nice compliment. It sounds dark and macabre, but that's a really nice compliment.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this guy's super talented.
But the English thing, when I left Harrison, I was kind of burnt out because I didn't know how to say no to people.
Yeah, okay, like well, I can understand that.
Well, it's better, but it's not fixed.
It will never be.
I say no more often? Yeah, anyways. So in college, the first, year and a half, I was totally undecided, just taking gen eds to try to figure something out. And English really kept popping up as like, oh yeah, I enjoy this. And I've always enjoyed reading, so that wasn't a big surprise. But the teaching thing kind of went hand in hand because I thought, okay, what do you do with a BA in English? Mm-hmm. As the song says.
Yeah.
So I said, well, education is in the family. Let me give this a shot too, and it just kind of married itself.
Nice.
And you seem very passionate about it whenever you
I love English.
Yeah.
I really do.
I know when I brought up Chat GPT that like during the
I have lots to say about that. So much to say about that. Probably too much time for this one.
Not today, Satan. Not today.
Yeah, this isn't that podcast.
No.
But we would like to touch on that. I'd love to hear your
Okay.
thoughts.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now, later?
Yeah, might as well now.
I think
Already
Chat GPT is, if you spend enough time with your students and you see enough of their handwriting, particularly, you converse with them enough verbally, you're going to know what's theirs and what's not.
Right.
Absolutely. Style and word choice. And
Okay,
In
but
fact,
you know you can train it, right?
So, fun story. I was grading something today, actually, before I was coming here. A student used the phrase, something about presents a bleak and pessimistic view of the justice system. And I was like, I've never heard anything like that come out of your mouth. Yours.
Yeah.
So, Exhibit A.
yeah.
So there's probably
It's
not
happening.
any way to like plug it back in and check, like with plagiarism. there's
Well,
checkers.
okay, so I know that there's AI checkers. And for a hot minute, everybody was really kind of jumping on that because they were really worried about how Google would see that content. Like from a, I'm going to put it on my blog standpoint, I'm going to try and use it in my website to help me, rank better or whatever.
Like for business.
Yeah. Because like I took our like about us stuff from the website and I plugged it in there and I was like, make this better.
Right. Wait, you're saying it wasn't good.
Yeah, make it better.
Yeah.
Because we wrote our own stuff and then I went back through and rewrote it and then
That's exactly.
and then I went back through with Chat GPT later. So it's had like 3 iterations now of
Someone told me you can like ask it, did you write this? And it'll say yes or no.
I haven't heard that. I should try that.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, because the current versions
quick
of our
version.
abouts are totally as what.
I'm not might, but you can also put in your own writing and then say, write this in the style of my own writing and reference it and
That-
then rewrite it. in the
That's
style
what I
you
mean. So I know you can train it.
Yeah.
But that's where people don't understand how to use it, so they
Right.
still get caught.
Yeah. And if you pay for Chat GPT, you get Chat GPT 4, which also allows you to do some referencing around the web. Because like Chat GPT 3 doesn't, like it stops at 2021 of, web
Version,
knowledge, I
right.
guess. Yeah. And Chat 4 now, it's like real time. So that can kind of muddy things too.
Yeah.
So it's going to get real hard for you to like spot that stuff, I think,
Yeah.
quickly.
It's
Kids
a
are
paradigm
on
shift.
it.
Yeah.
As a teacher, when you think somebody's using it, what do you do? Like, how do you confront them? Or do you-
I give
You're
them the
just like,
opportunity to fess up to it.
Yeah.
If they don't care to do that, then we're moving on to the next thing. I have all seniors too, so it's that point at which like you need to be able to own up to your actions and mistakes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to prepare them for the next step, whatever that might be.
Right.
Someone's going to call you on it, I think.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but so just devil's advocate here, because
Right.
I'm super Chat GPT, right? But not for the reasons of cheating. I think they should learn your skills, right? Learn the same skills that you have. Learn
Right.
how to write, be grammatically correct, and
Right.
all of that.
Intelligent.
Yeah, because it's. I think it's an important skill for communication, and it's nice to be able to portray your own thoughts and your own words out there. So that said, moving on. I also think that our kids are growing up with technology that's changing really fast, and they have to be able
Faster
to
than you
use
keep
it.
up. Absolutely.
And if businesses are using ChatGPT, then they need to be able to know how to use it.
That's probably fair.
So that's
Doesn't
kind of
seem
my
that
position on
hard to
it.
use.
It is and it isn't. You can,
I've not
if you
used it.
just ask it a question and the question is phrased like really open, if that's garbage in, garbage out system. You have to be a prompt engineer. You have to learn how to create the good prompt that's going to get you good content back out. So that's kind
It
of
goes
that.
back to that idea of situational types of writing. Knowing when to be formal and informal, when
Yes.
you can use lingo, and which that falls on us as teachers, I think, too. Just kind of draw some of those boundaries, at least, even if they're a little gray.
Yeah.
And then maybe even teach them how to use that tool if they're in a business class and they're putting together some sort of business plan or something like that. Because it'll show you the format, it'll give you the whole 9 yards.
Working smarter, not harder.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
however,
we use the web
creative
anyway, right?
totally different. You want that from your brain. You
Right.
want that from, what are your thoughts? That's a little bit
That brings
different.
me to a question because you're a composer as well.
Yes.
Do you think at some point that's going to translate into music
Well, I hope not.
composition? Yeah.
I hope not.
So I feel like there is some of that happening. So kind of like, so Chat GPT is more about like, I need some help, researching or writing something. Maybe a few other things like like developing or whatever, right? Because it can do code. But then there's like programs like Midjourney that are all about imagery. So I can type in text and I get out an image.
Right.
There's video that's very similar to that, where you can create an avatar, and that avatar takes your script that you've created, and it looks like a real person. Sometimes the mouth will get a little fudged, but otherwise you really kind of can't tell.
Right.
So like stuff is kind of progressing, and I feel like I saw something in the composing arena recently, and I didn't bookmark it, and I should have. I probably sent it to Michaela. So I'll look again. If I can find it, I'll send it to you. That is headed that direction. Like, can we actually use it to compose? Not anything probably great. Well, I mean,
The
a lot
thing
of
is,
music's
like,
on a
Western
formula,
music-
right?
Well, sort of. In Western music, there's 12 notes. So there theoretically is some limitation on the number of combinations.
Right.
It's probably a huge number. My thing as a composer is I want to surprise people's ears. Like, if you think it's going this direction, to suddenly
go
make a
back.
turn. Right.
Okay.
And a lot of music is somewhat predictable, somewhat formulaic.
Yeah.
Well, all
Um,
the pop stuff definitely is,
yeah,
right?
of course.
Like A, B, A, whatever, in a
Four chords.
format.
Church music is that way right now, too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Four chords.
That's a whole different conversation.
Right.
But I mean, if it helps the composer do things more quickly, maybe I'd be okay with that. But as far as original ideas, that's kind of scary.
I have so many questions around that because I want to get back to you.
We have time. We have time.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
We're on a hurry.
Or not.
No.
I don't think so.
I want to take us on a journey. I
Okay.
want to get straight to the end. But with the composing, it feels like it comes very natural to you. How did you train for it?
Harrison helped a lot because if you have music theory coursework, it lays kind of that foundation of how it's been done for 200-300 years classically.
Right.
Of course, now the rule is to break the rules almost. But understanding how things functioned in that way was a good start. I think one of the best things a person can do towards becoming a composer is to just do tons of listening. To understand styles and how people have done it before you. Helps to see it on the page too, of course.
Yeah.
Maybe helps develop your own style.
Well, I know, like, when I was in band long time ago, I won't say how long,
It's getting further
in the
and further away.
jazz stuff, when I was doing that, it was real important to like listen so that when you improv, you had some shit you could pull out later.
Right.
So people would hear something that was familiar to them in all of the other randomness that you're playing to them.
That makes sense.
But I kind of feel like if you're composing, maybe having some of that helps too, because I hear when we go and listen to like Michaela and they're playing a brand new song I've never heard before, because that happens all the time. There's a shit ton of music out there for them to choose from. And then I'll hear like glimpses of something I know I've heard. It's like you hear that a lot in people's
They're
compositions.
just webbing it in, and
Yeah, like they'll pull in a theme.
Right.
maybe it makes the listener feel a little bit of familiarity. It makes them feel a little bit more comfort. Like, oh wait, hold on a second, I think I know
It's a
that.
buy-in thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Let me bring you into this fold as an audience member.
with familiarity.
So I saw that you composed a short musical on George Jenkins.
That was fun. So that was back in 2017, I think. Dr. Ward, who was the principal at Harrison at the time, came to me and he said, "Hey, we've been invited to perform at this annual Chamber of Commerce event. It happens every year. And it just kind of shuffles around to different institutions who's responsible for the entertainment. And so Harrison is on this year, and they're honoring George Jenkins. He's like the focal point. And I want to write a musical." And I just kind of went,
I'm gonna get it.
"Okay, like, why are you telling me?
And good luck
What
with
do I
it.
have to do with this?"
Hey, good job, buddy.
Yeah.
He goes,
He got his
and I've already sketched out
Yes.
That's funny. But he had already sketched out like some script and some lyrics and all this kind of thing. He was inviting me in to compose, and I said, "Well, I'll give it a shot. Like, why not?" And it ended up being this really positive, collaborative thing between he and I. And it was the first time I'd ever composed at that scope.
Yeah.
Random one-offs here or there, lots of arrangements. So like repurposing what had already been composed, but like from scratch, totally new experience.
Great.
Okay.
And it was easier because I think it was 5 songs, 30-minute kind of thing. It wasn't this massive behemoth that I had to stare in the face. But, you know, he would come in and he said, okay, now this song, I want it to be like Newsies with Bad Boys.
Oh, okay.
Which is really strange, but oddly specific at the same time.
Yeah.
About George Jenkins, who's this, wonderful
Pillar of the community.
Which the end product ended up involving shopping cart
I
choreography.
bet it did.
Nice.
I bet it
And we
did.
had to go and beg and plead, like, can we just borrow some carts for like a couple weeks?
Yeah.
But
Trust me, you're gonna want to let us do this.
at least you asked.
But
You see them all around town.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
that experience was good because there was so much give and take between all the parties involved. Because we were literally creating something from scratch. We didn't know what this was. And even the students in those rehearsals would come in with ideas and we're like, yes, that's brilliant. Let's keep it.
Nice.
So just the collaboration of that and the final product, when we presented it, I'm gonna forget her name. One of the Jenkins daughters was in the
Okay.
audience. She came up afterwards. She goes, "That was Dad," and that was just the best compliment we could get.
Awesome.
That stamp of approval.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Was that your first major?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes. And Dr. Ward, love him. He is somewhat verbose, let's say. Just if you've ever talked to Dr. Ward, that's how he is. So he would hand me these lyrics, and I'm like, okay, I can't fit all of this into a melody line. There's just no way. This song's going to be 10 minutes long. And so he was very gracious in allowing me to pare down and, let's say, poeticize some of his prose.
Nice.
Yeah.
To some sort of music.
Do you find yourself like waking up in the middle of the night, like, oh, this would be a great song? Let me write this down.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Really?
Sometimes.
Do you like keep like a pad there? Write it all
It's
down?
more like musical motifs for me than lyrics. Like sequences of notes that I'm like, yeah, this is something. Let me save this for later. And I'll take a voice
Break
note
legs.
Yeah. All of them.
sometimes. Like if I'm just sitting at the piano and it comes, I'll just be like, record for later. Thank you. Put it away.
Yeah. 'Cause it'll just hit you.
Yeah.
It's definitely like inspiration in the moment.
Yeah.
Do you
Kinda cool.
write lyrics as well?
I have
Okay.
when we did Winesburg, Ohio, a couple years ago.
It's on my list.
That was the next kind of big project, and that the story of that is really funny because it was literally in the middle of the pandemic. There's nowhere to go, nothing to do because we're all on lockdown. So I put out this book that I had read as a junior at Lakeland, just to read it again because it had been that long since I picked it up. And it's in these short mini chapters, and the one I thought, man, that would make like a really good like one-off musical theater song. Just kind of the showcase number. 2 chapters later, the same thing, and so on. And I had the time. That was the thing.
Yeah, we all
Yeah.
had a lot of time.
I had the time, so I just went to it, and suddenly I had like 10, 12 songs. And Miss Lambert at Harrison was looking for something to do that fall that was socially distanced, atypical, because we knew it was going to be different. She said, hey, what do you think about us producing that? I was like, yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
And it just became this huge thing. But lyrically, that was a little easier because I had a source text to go off of.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I actually like that a lot. As much as the collaborative thing with Dr. Ward was great, having the complete music lyrics control.
I bet it doesn't get better than that, creatively wise.
If you want to change it, you change it. There's no one to check in with or anything like that. Always check the source text, of course,
Yeah.
to make sure you're staying true to that material. But
That's super cool.
Do you ever sleep? I feel like you're like Kristen. These creative
Sometimes.
people that don't.
over the summer,
I swear every time I pull up Facebook,
I can
there's a
lots of
different
sleep.
event playing the piano for something else. I'm like, oh my gosh, and on top of teaching, which is just exhausting in and of itself. And
it's so
department chair.
rewarding though. And it's the smallest moments that like will make a day worth it. When someone's really excited about some assignment, or they connect. Right now, my kids are reading world kind of literature. They had to pick a country because we've done British lit all year. So then they had to pick a country of the Commonwealth and pick a book. And some of them have really made some nice choices. I didn't tell them that because I wanted them to discover that for themselves. But they're like, oh my gosh, I can't put this down. I'm like, good.
Yeah.
Give me an example.
If you've enjoyed, oh gosh.
'Cause I love
There's
reading.
a student doing South Africa, and I think the book is called The Things We Carried. And it's this multi-perspective thing through apartheid, of which they really... Oh, no, that's not right at all. It's this thing called The Future. That's what it's called. Things We Carried is a different book. This thing called The Future. But first of all, just them being exposed to that, because I don't know how much that happens, like in a world history class. But just them being excited about reading is all the reward.
Oh, yeah.
Because right now, in most cases with teenagers, I would say excited about reading is the next tweet. It's something very short, not...
Yeah.
And a short attention span, but not only that, but like instant gratification. Your book will carry you on, and you have to stick with it, and it teaches you to kind of
My kids-
marinate in that.
My kids
Even
love to
reluctant readers, if I can get them plugged into one book,
Right.
that's a gateway.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
Who's your favorite author?
That's hard.
I told you I
can tell you my favorite book.
What's
Okay,
that?
Okay.
It's called The Alchemist
Oh, yeah.
by Brazilian author Paulo Coelho.
Right, that's on
Yep.
DJ. I wanted to.
I actually have it at home. I can get it.
What's it about? General.
It's a little boy who makes this journey from Morocco across the Sahara. It's kind of a self-discovery sort of thing, but there's lots of just good philosophical nuggets of wisdom along the way. I try to read it at least once a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. It kind of grounds you a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's like, where do I go next?
Yeah.
So you're an English teacher, department chair,
Yes.
but you're also adjunct. What is the title? Piano?
Oh, it depends on the day.
something or other?
Collaborative pianist or artist in residence, just any of those kind of get thrown around.
So basically, anything where a piano is needed, you're kind of a throw
Not anything. I don't want to say that because there are other pianists involved on campus, but yeah, if something accompaniment or musical related, I'm typically at least asked to be involved. Yeah.
Nice.
How much prep work does that take you? Is it pretty? Are you pretty like, okay, here's a piece I can sit down and kind of play?
Again, that's pretty wide spectrum. So like we had juries just this past week. Most of those I was reading cold in the room, walk in, sit down, play.
Really?
Yeah.
Meaning, I'm the kid I bring in. I'm like, here, play this. And you're like, okay.
Now they put it all in a nice notebook and it's arranged in order for me and that kind of thing. But lots and lots of those songs I had seen for the first time that day.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Yeah.
So for anybody not in the know, juries are fill in the blank.
Okay, so twice a year, students in the musical theater department. I know, of course, may have to do it as well.
There's lots of similar things
Yeah.
across. Yeah.
They have to prepare a song and present it, and sometimes it's a specific style. Like for the freshmen, their first jury is Golden Age. The
Oh,
sophomore
okay.
First jury is opera, Italian opera. So they prepare a song and perform it, and they're judged and critiqued on it. So they pick their songs.
Like in the piano department, we had proficiencies, which were exactly, well, not exactly the same thing, but scales and prepare a piece and technical preparation, I guess is what you would call it in piano.
Oh, okay.
I think chorus has to do something like 2 or 3 songs
Wow.
per semester.
Band
Like an
sort of
audition.
has something.
It is kind of like,
Where-
especially
yeah.
this semester, spring semester tends to be with the end of the year showcase in mind. So it's a jury on the one hand to assess how you're progressing vocally, but it's also who do we want to feature in this end of the year showcase.
Okay.
Just
Kind of like an audition.
So I just learned that. So for each class, they choose 5 medley kids
Mhm.
that you then take their songs and somehow kind of weave a theme together.
Thread them together somehow.
Oh, that's kind of
So they get like a snippet.
It's a
of
good
their
challenge
song.
sometimes
I'm
Yeah.
sure.
because lots of these songs could not be more different.
Right.
And like last year with the juniors, we were able to thread this storyline where Shania sang lighten the piazza to start it off. And so everyone was kind of these tableaus and statues that she was observing, and then they would all break out and become alive.
Oh, cool. And do their
Show
piece.
within a show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
And we
That's
actually
pretty
got that idea when we started doing the Applause Awards in Orlando, which is the Orlando version of the Jimmys.
Oh,
Now we're in
okay.
Tampa with Broadway Star of the Future. But they would thread together these medleys of the leading performers so that everyone could be featured equally. We were like, let's take that back to school and steal that idea.
Nice.
Yeah.
Smarter.
Okay,
Smarter.
that brought up a question in my brain really quick. So, you guys do these shows,
Right.
and you submit to the Broadway Star of the Future or whatever,
Mhm.
and then they judge
Mhm.
everybody who's submitted and decide on their winners. And then what happens next? Because how did like Janiyah end up at the Jimmys that
Right.
year?
So yes, you send in or you apply for adjudication. They come watch the show. We had something like 4 or 5 judges come to 2 different shows of Drowsy Chaperone,
Which was amazing.
Okay.
and they critique every aspect: direction, the lighting, the sound, the costumes.
Okay.
And when we were in Orlando, it really upped our game because some of these Orlando schools have 3,000-4,000 students. They're putting on these massive productions, and ours were always of quality.
Right.
But there were certain areas where we could stand to improve, and we did. So they create their short list, the people at the Straz do, and they have audition day, they call it. And all the nominated leading performers come to the Straz one day, and they audition in a room of 30, 40 people.
Wow.
Pucker factor is kind of
And
Major
Yes.
factor.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And from there, they pick a top 12, 6 girls, 6 guys,
Okay.
who also perform their solos at a showcase in May
Okay.
at the Straz Center. And that whole week leading up to, plus the audition day, they're deciding who would we like to send to New York
Okay.
to represent us for the Jimmys. So talk about being on 24/7
And
for
how many do they get to
Yeah.
choose?
just
one?
two.
one guy and one girl.
One woman, one. Okay.
Wow.
What an honor.
Yeah.
Oh,
So is
And
the
it's
Jimmys
captured.
like
Yeah.
the top of that route? Like that's the culmination point. Once you reach the Jimmys, you either win or you don't.
that's
like,
nationals. Mm-hmm.
and then it's done after
Good
that.
timing words for.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a great announcement.
And then you're hoping, right? I mean, that looks great for college and
Oh yeah.
I'm sure
It's
people
all
get
high school.
offers at that point too,
And-
right?
scholarships or-
There are so many Jimmy's people on Broadway right now.
Yeah.
Former Jimmy's
Yeah.
participants. Like it's on their resume.
Did
So
you
it's
guys
Well,
watch
a
that kind of
pathway.
makes sense. No, we weren't able to for some reason. I don't know why.
Stream it or something, but they
Yeah,
would
yeah.
talk about different people that had won who'd gone on
Mhm.
or on
You want
Broadway
to go
currently.
chat?
Yes, it's on my.
I know we should.
Okay, good. Yeah.
And it-
Um,
This night at the Straz is just a fun time because lots of the winners are already announced by that point. The full list of winners is published like early May, but there's still that anticipation of okay, which of these 12
Yeah.
are going to be the 2 to go?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And how many do they pick from? And I apologize if you already said this, but how many do they pick, let's say, from Drowsy Chaperone? Like,
It depends. So the Jimmys puts out a list of which roles are eligible in each show as
Okay.
leading performers.
Okay.
So like
depending
for
on the production.
it depends.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, gotcha.
Like Drowsy, I think there were 5 leading performers that are eligible. Some shows, because it's more of an ensemble cast, you might have as many as 8 or 9.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
okay.
So it depends on.
Huh.
That's kind of nice. So it's not like, oh, just because you're a lead, you know, you're definitely going to be the one that's going to get. And depending on the type of production. it
Mhm.
is.
Right.
And they also recognize supporting performers,
Right. And director and
music director,
Yeah.
choreographer.
Well, that's the crazy
Yeah.
thing.
huge list.
I was surprised to see nominations for adults. Like All Saints,
Mhm.
there was a couple of people that we're familiar with at LCT that were like nominated for stuff over there
Mhm.
for Bright. Yeah, next what is it?
And so,
Bright
in a
Star
way,
or
it's kind of a form of professional development
Mhm.
for the teachers as well.
Yeah,
I would love for there to be more. Hey, why don't you come over to our school for a day, kind of see what we do between the schools?
Oh,
But
yeah.
you know, somebody in Pinellas, that's hard.
yeah.
Somebody down in Fort Myers, that's harder.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So that leads me to another question. So you music direct sometimes,
Uh-huh.
both at Harrison and in community theater. So what? Clearly, they're all talented. what do you see in a child or performer that kind of sets them apart from the others? Because they all can sing, they all can do something.
It's hard.
I'm sorry. But like that, what are we looking for in the Jimmies? Like, what is it that they all can sing beautifully?
I know, right? Like, how do you pick? How do you go, oh, that person is like clearly, you know.
Like they have a presence. Like they take
This is going to sound cliche, but the whole triple threat aspect, can they do all three equally? I also think it has to do with how well the person fits the role, regardless of those three things. For example, Jania's Esmeralda was just like a shoo-in. She had that almost the day she walked in the audition room. She was just that persona embodying that role. I also think you have to just examine the technical factors, I guess is the best way to put it. Can they sing it? Can they dance it? That's the most fundamental. We don't like to change keys and things like that because it requires a lot of work.
That is a lot of work.
So if you're out of range, that kind of takes you out of the running.
It's got to be that Cinderella shoe, right? Like it just
Right, that's right.
Perfect.
Do you ever see someone and you think, oh, you're super talented, but you're kind of a jerk? I don't really work with you.
I'm sure behavior has
People
to
do
factor
garner
in.
themselves some reputations. I hate to say that,
No,
but
it's true. We talk about that a lot. Like you're always on an audition.
Well, yeah.
Behavior.
I mean, I just before Drowsy Chaperone, I did Into the Woods in Winter Haven, and there were some folks that walked in the room that was like,
They just gave off that.
Either that or
you already knew.
it was like, do we want to put up with this for 2.5 months?
Yeah.
Right,
and that may come across petty. I don't know, but
No, I
that
think
affects
it's
the whole cast.
It does affect it, and crew.
and none of us are there for the drama, ironically enough.
exactly. There's
You
nothing
say that, but then there's always drama. So
and that goes for any field, musical theater or whatever.
That's very true.
If you're a different business or whatever, somebody walks in and you know about them, or you're like, oh my god.
like, I just saw that person, and they just flicked me off on the way in here, so don't really think I want to hire them.
You're a tornado, like you're just not going to do with it.
Right.
That makes sense.
but
They're a tornado.
Tornado.
I think the term I'm most familiar with is shitstorm.
all that's to say, though, someone can walk in the room and just grab a part unexpectedly. I think when we did Little Mermaid at Harrison, there was I think she was going to be a senior. Yeah. Had always been really solid, just a hard worker kind of type. But when she came in and sang Ursula, we all went,
oh, wow.
What was that? I've been for 3 years. And just stole the thing.
Yeah.
No one else was even close. So
It happens.
And that's a good lesson in don't give up on a part because you think that person always gets the part, they're going to get it. Like you walk in that
Our
room.
kids see that sometimes.
We do see that.
Yeah.
They get frustrated because they're going to get the part.
Yeah.
They always get the part.
But I tell you, the tenacity of it is also noticed by production teams.
Okay, good.
Like this person always shows up, does their job, consistent.
Right.
Yeah.
They're shoo-in.
They're solid.
They're gonna exactly.
Good attitude.
Exactly. Do you ever have that thing where you guys cast somebody and then it comes down to rehearsals and you're like, "What? You are totally different. You are not the person that we." Does that ever happen?
Not to me personally. I'm sure there have been those times.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that hasn't happened to me.
That's good. It doesn't
Right.
happen.
That shoe probably has yet to drop.
Sorry, we won't manifest that.
And now you're aware of it.
There have been a few times where it's kind of like, okay, can you please show me what you showed me in the audition room? And they'll turn it around.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
And they'll make the
Just a little
shift.
reminder.
Right.
Well, something I noticed about you watching Into the Woods and working, you were never content with, okay, we've got it, let's just perform.
There's always room for improvement.
Every warm-up, you're like, all right, I need to see this, this, and this. You guys come over here, let's work on this harmony. And I was like, wow, I haven't seen that before.
And part of that, to be fair, is Sondheim, because Sondheim is never done.
Right.
There's too much there. There's too much content. But I apply that same philosophy to when I'm teaching writing in the English classroom.
Gotcha.
There's always room to improve.
Yeah.
That reminds me of your
There's
quote.
never a final draft, right?
No.
There's always more to. That's pretty cool. I kind of like
The
that.
quality of a person's life is in direct proportion to their commitment to excellence, regardless of their chosen field of endeavor. I love that quote. That's on your Harrison profile, I guess you would
is
call
it?
Lombard,
Did you know you put that there?
Maybe you use Chat GPT.
Forgot.
It's a personality.
Angela went digging, and you had no idea that she was going to pull that out.
But that's what I saw in you with.
And it's also like
Yeah.
every audience deserves the same show. They're paying the same ticket price. So if you have an awesome opening night, I'm thinking of Drowsy because we just finished it. Opening night was incredible. The energy in the room was like palpable. And Saturday and Sunday deserves the very same. Now, if it was big time stakes, 8 times a week, I don't know how those people do it.
Oh my
I
gosh.
think that all the time.
Yeah.
And
How do you get up?
that
there?
commitment to producing the same product. I mean, at a certain point, I'm sure it becomes somewhat automatic.
Yeah.
And yet, you never want to just phone it in.
Right. And it never
Probably
feels like they
similar
are.
You heard, but
Sure.
At least unless like maybe at Mean Girls you felt like it.
Okay.
Detail.
Yeah.
she's still in that age where she gives details.
The kids are, giving us
They're
updates.
callbacking.
Yeah, they're callbacking.
Now,
So we're getting some updates as we go.
Yes.
Oh, and apparently I'm typing.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Who's Dr. Nelson?
Oh goodness.
So what's the update?
It's basically the same thing you sent.
Yeah.
Like who got cut
Just
and
a
who's
couple
still there.
more kids that she included in there.
So they started by reading memos. It sounded like
Like reading?
Just go right to
You
it.
think
Wow.
they were reading? Oh, singing. She
Well,
said
singing. Okay.
You have to
Yeah.
decide.
Maybe
first.
they read
Yeah.
it.
It's gotta fit
She said
around.
now the big kids are here and they're going to be deciding who's going to go home. So they'll probably keep a couple memos to sing or to read.
To read, yeah.
Marlon
Yeah, they got to see that compatibility with the, the Marlin and the Dories
the
and
nail
stuff.
biter part.
I know. It's tough.
Fortunately for us, Lily Kate could care less. She's like, I'm not getting Nemo, I'm not getting Dory. I just want to be in it. So it's like it's such a different feeling to be that relaxed going into it.
That's a great philosophy to have.
Yeah.
It is.
Because some people, I don't know, I see it both ways. Some people come in and they're like, no, I just want to lead. And if that's your current circumstance, that's all you're willing to go for, fine. But you see a lot of people come in too, and it's like, I only want to lead and nothing else. And it's like, come on,
Yeah.
we need you to help out in the ensemble or something like that.
Yeah.
Kids have a lot of experience in both aspects, and they love the ensemble. Almost.
So there's a lot to
Ensemble's
learn in the
better part.
ensemble.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
You
is.
learn a lot. You learn a lot.
Yeah. We get a lot more buddy time when you're in the ensemble.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Training
Social.
coming. I'll tell you though, that never settling is definitely a product of my time at Harrison as a student.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to say it was drilled into us because that sounds negative, but it was always,
There's a theme.
okay, how are you improving? What are you doing to make
Yeah.
this better?
Yeah. Don't pat
Yeah.
Well, that's what you get
Excellence
in
or
art
bust.
school, right?
Right.
Like they're trying to help you be better at your craft.
Mhm.
And sometimes that kind of pushes what's necessary.
and just be better, period. Even if I didn't necessarily go into the craft directly, kind of a roundabout way, but I stayed involved, and I think because they had said, keep with it, do it as best you can, that allowed me to remain involved so well. To do this, that, and the other, get the requests and the calls, and
Yeah. You play piano like every day, right?
It
At
feels that
least.
way.
Yeah.
I wish you that.
Yeah, because you're like doing accompaniments and
Yeah. Do you teach?
like drowsy, doing the pit and all of that stuff. Like, yeah, I feel like you're just always. And
No,
then
and I get requests to do so, but I'm never home to do that.
Yeah. Not yet.
Surprise.
See when you get
Surprise,
older,
surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like your retirement gig. Just wait till
But
you
I
get older.
definitely refer
She's got so
people
much other stuff
to
going on.
others
Yeah.
that I trust to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have like a longing to be on the stage? Or are you really content with what you're doing now?
It's
yeah,
been
like,
a while
are you
since
going to audition for Margaritaville?
probably not. I take a theater break during the summer,
Okay.
like a marked theater break during the summer.
Good.
Makes sense.
It's been a while since I've been on stage. I think Bridges was the last thing, and that was 2017.
Okay.
So I'm looking.
Okay.
I'm looking
Wait for the one to come. You're like, I'm going to do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not
Because it's a big time commitment. You know,
Yeah, it
I was
is.
reminded of that during Into the Woods, because that was the first community theater show I've done in probably 5 years,
Okay.
5-6 years.
You were at
in
every
any
rehearsal.
capacity. And it's just a lot easier to do one at school because you're done at 4:30. You
Right.
go home for the evening.
Right. It's a
The
regular
week of tech
schedule.
is heavy. Fine. But yeah, every night from 7
Every
to 10 is like,
You were at every
that was completely different than what I had done up until that point.
Right.
Because, Theater Winter Havens, that was my first time doing something substantial over there on the crew. So that was an eye-opener for me. I was like, oh, is this...
That's a huge...
I think what you saw, though, is Sondheim probably needed that level, to be honest. But
or anything that sung through like that.
Really, it made a huge difference to have his input there all the time.
Well, and the input, right? Not just somebody who plays the piano, not an accompanist.
Oh, no.
Musical director.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so huge.
Yes.
It makes...
Because it really does involve a lot of interpreting the score and making adjustments based on the singers in the room and that sort of thing. I mean, I can think of lots of spots, those initial rehearsals, we were like, we're not going to do this, we're going to do this instead, just because it was faster, cleaner.
Right.
It created a better chord, anything like that. So yeah, having that knowledge of how to fix and modify and still stay within the bounds of what's there.
And lead, right? And
True.
Well, and that's hard when you have performers that are also in, musical education, who have been doing this for their entire lives and they're in their 60s. Yes, there was a lot of leaders in there.
Some respect,
Yeah. But they were people you've known probably since you were a kid, right?
True. And there was a good give and take there as well, good collaborative relationship. And I would trust some of their ears to hear things that I couldn't behind the piano.
Right.
They're the ones sitting amongst everyone,
Yeah.
That's true. They can hear like that person who's right in their ear.
They'd be like, hey, you might want to...
Yeah.
Can we check? That's the classic.
Yes. That
Can we check
cracks me
measure
up.
so and so? Yeah, sure.
I just feel like I'm hearing something not right.
It's a little off.
Professional but pointed.
Right.
Yeah. That cracked me up. Every time it would happen, I was like...
Like, oh, Lordy.
And everyone knows.
Yeah.
But it's just like...
That was me. I'm so sorry.
Occasionally.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I think if
That's
Beth
really
come in, she would go, yep.
Yeah, a lot.
Let's redo that.
Yeah, she was really funny. She's like, I still don't have those lyrics. Like, show's going up. It's like, oh, shit. All right.
There were a lot of lyrics. There were.
Oh my gosh, yes, there were.
And the music moves so fast. Yeah. Anyway.
But if you have a good production team, a collaborative one like that, where director, choreographer, music director are all on the same page, your product's going to show. If you are all kind of doing your own thing and just expect it to come together at the end, that's sketchy. Because inevitably a dance break's not going to be like it sounds on the track.
Right.
Or you're going to need twice as many bars of music to get through this scene change as you thought you would.
Wait, you can vamp it up.
Kathy, good job.
That's it.
She had to learn that.
I did.
She did have to learn that one.
And that's
She knows it
why-
now.
I know it. I got it now. Yeah.
That's why a lot of,
Can't do it with a recording.
at least I feel like usually a lot of my work happens the weekend of tech.
Oh, okay.
When scenes start to move and set pieces start to go and all that kind of thing, that's really when the bulk of my work happens, because I need to know what to do to this score to make it work in the space. So for contrast, Into the Woods, I actually had to do lots of cutting. Because it was such a small space, they would assume you need this much to get across the stage, well, you needed half that. Versus Drowsy, which is a massive stage, constantly adding in vamps and repeats and this kind of thing.
Oh, I heard somebody say that you were making that record noise down in the pit. Was that not a sound cue or something?
Like when it would scratch?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that was a sound cue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, now,
I thought somebody
the
said.
whole beginning of the overture that sounded like it was coming through a record player was
Yes.
recorded down in the pit.
That's
They
cool.
filtered it up.
Oh,
And,
that's
yeah, we love that.
That's cool.
That's really cool.
That was very cool. That was such a good show.
That took a few takes.
Yeah.
It was Monday of Tech Week. The orchestra was back in for the first time in like a week.
Yeah.
And I was just
Yeah, it was right after spring break, right?
okay.
Yeah.
But they pull it together because I'm always amazed. I get lost and I forget I'm listening to live music.
Oh,
I know.
That's our goal.
Yeah.
Down in the pit.
And when it's so solid, and they're all just kids.
It's kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This particular pit with Drowsy was half sophomores.
Wow.
Really?
First pit,
Oh,
first
they're
anything
so
like
good.
that. Now, luckily, I had lots of seniors in there as well. So it's almost like a mentorship kind of thing.
Nice.
But you could tell just at lots of points they were just young. I'd be beating my head against the piano, but they were just young. I had to remind myself of that.
Right.
Yeah.
And they pulled it together, so
They did. I had to convince my mom, like, no, Mom, there's like musicians. There's
Yeah,
kids
they're
down
just
there
sitting down.
playing
Yeah.
instruments.
On a rare occasion, that curtain in front of the pit will get peeled off.
Really?
Trying to think. When I was a senior, when we did Pirates, there was lots of interaction between the actors in the orchestra. Like
Oh, okay.
the soprano and the flute had this like dueling.
Yeah, so you got to see them.
Right.
Okay.
And then the conductor kind of sword fought one of the pirates with his baton.
Oh, nice.
So kind of cheesy stuff like that, but it was funny.
Yeah,
And you needed to see the orchestra for that very reason.
that's really cool.
Peeled back.
Yeah,
And I like a visible orchestra.
Yes.
yeah,
Into the woods.
yeah.
Just having that point of connection. I can't imagine these shows in New York, especially, where like the orchestra is 2 blocks down the road in this random room being piped in. It's like,
Does that happen?
oh yeah, oh yeah.
How do we do
No, I didn't know that.
And I'm just thinking, one plug,
Yeah,
one plug, and it's just chaos.
yeah.
Can you imagine being
Then what
the person
happens?
who's like you tripped over the plug. What's going on? Like you got to run
Like
across.
stand somebody where that cord plugs in. Like make sure nobody, trips over it or something.
Tripped over. My bad.
I'm picturing like
Plug it back
a
in.
telephone game with like
Feedback happens. It's not good.
I had no idea they did that.
Oh yeah, and it takes away a lot of the flexibility, I think,
Sure.
of the orchestra and actor because you don't have that like
Yeah,
in-person line of communication.
it's so important. I feel like, yeah, that's so weird.
to be part of it as one.
On a couple of shows we've seen recently, like Hadestown and 6, the musicians are on the stage.
Oh, I love
Yeah, I
that.
love that. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
They're just as much a part of
They're
it.
like a character.
Yes.
Because they were part of the bar scene and like. they were
Yeah,
there.
and the trombone like came down and actually like danced and stuff.
That was
Yeah,
awesome.
I love that show. That is my number one now. That's my number one now. I know y'all. I love the
I'm
one
waiting for
too,
those
but
nights to become available.
Hadestown's clear number one. They are like,
Wow.
woo!
Intense cornhole.
I think because the drinks are
Cornhole's
flowing.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
You know what? Our drinks aren't flowing yet. Like, do we want to send Chris to go get us some drinks?
I just need to know. Text me if you want. I say text me because I'll forget.
Texting you right now.
All right. Well, I think we all know Angela wants a mojito.
Yes.
I'll take a mojito.
I'll take a mojito to make it easy.
You like
Alright, so
mojitos?
pretty
Or do you
much-
like some
I'm going to do an upside down.
Ooh.
Listen, upside down.
Yeah.
I found it on the menu before.
Oh, okay.
I was like, what,
Nice.
what am I going to have?
He's getting prepared. Yeah. She said she was buying drinks. Yes, I did.
All right, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Was there more?
So I'm noticing the kids
Trying to
struggle
figure
with
out what
harmonies.
is going on with your daughter.
How do you
Okay.
teach kids?
She said she might catch something.
What did you
I
say?
need to hear this.
Sorry, yeah.
How do you help kids learn to sing harmonies?
Yes, that's a big deal.
Gosh. Trying to think how I do it like in a normal music rehearsal.
Is it just practice? Is it just...
I mean, maybe the same with adults because I saw
A lot of it is,
Into the Woods.
I use the word rehearsal, but a lot of it is just repetition, I think, and just getting it in your ear. Some people just hear harmony
Right.
naturally better than others. That's just a thing.
I hear it.
I hear it, but I can't produce it.
There used to be
That's even more interesting.
this lady that used to live underneath me and Chris when we had an apartment, like when Michaela was first born, like years and years ago. She was sort of tone deaf, but when we would go sing in the car, she always was perfectly fine because it was always a good harmony. It was really strange, but she thought she was singing the right thing, like the melody, not the harmony.
Wow.
But it sounded okay because she was...
It sounded fine, yeah. I was like, good job, back up, because we'd be singing together. It worked.
No, but
Some people are weird.
rehearsal, like when we're starting a show and there's these huge stacked harmonies, I do like to produce rehearsal tracks for them, learning tracks, just their part,
Right.
with a little bit of undercurrent, let's say, or some kind of foundation, so they're not just floating through.
They can hear what the music would be underneath their part. Okay,
or like how
like a
maybe I'll
auditory reference.
like lessen the other 3 parts so they can still hear them, but theirs is really featured.
Okay,
And that tends to help a lot. That's hard.
Yeah, because I'm thinking back to States when our girls had the 3-part harmony.
yeah.
And that was, we'd have to pull them aside and like play their notes on a little piano.
And this is going to sound really counterintuitive, but
Yeah, that app.
having your harmony almost involves ignoring the other people to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Because if you start to listen too much, you're going to waver that direction.
Compartmentalize it, right?
Right.
Like, yeah. Otherwise, you just want to follow the other person.
Right.
Is that what happens?
they'll pull you off.
It's,
Yeah.
it's like a good duet really is just 2 soloists singing at the same time.
Right.
Mm.
That makes sense.
But it's really, I think, so much repetition and hearing it in context, not just randomly dropping into a harmony. But how do you get into it? How do you get out of it?
Okay.
Right.
I've noticed that before, where like, okay, yeah, you know the line, but how do you approach? How do you exit?
Right.
Yeah, because it's never like harmony all the time, really. It's,
Right.
You always hear like, even in duets and like pop music and stuff, when you listen to that, they kind of come together and
Yeah.
diverge.
You're off.
Yeah,
I think comes together.
Right. Yeah.
usually. Yeah, it's like a weaving. So like one will take what you would consider the melody line, and then they'll swap. So you'll hear that. Like it's not always the girl that sings the melody.
Sure.
Frequently, but not always.
Sure.
That's cool.
How else to deal with harmony?
I know, I'm very intrigued by this because it feels like something
whole art
like a
form.
training, like a class. Like let's work on.
I mean, I'm not also saying learn the melody first, so you have the basis of it, and then the harmony might be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
amazed at what like Frida pulls out of the kids over at LCT.
Well, she creates so many harmonies
Yeah, she really does.
that don't exist otherwise.
Yeah,
That's
she's
what
like, I feel
saying.
like this
Yeah, she
needs something, and she'll
creates,
just add it in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She'll
she
do
did that. What was the last show we just did with her?
Rudolph?
Rudolph.
Mm.
She did that in Rudolph. She was like, it feels bland. I'm going to put this in. You're going to sing so-and-so. And she'd just like name a random list of these kids because she's getting to know them. They're all,
Yep.
you know, it's not their first rodeo for most of them.
Right.
But yeah, she just pulls them out.
Let's cheers to Tyler Campbell.
Yeah, yeah.
Boom.
Green.
Woohoo!
Roast.
We hope you'll come back on with us. Another
Absolutely.
We could talk about. So what's Harrison?
It's been a long time since I've had a mojito. This is good.
I know. You know why I'm addicted to? Well, not addicted. I really haven't, but they are my drink of choice.
All right. Is it good? Is it best to like squeeze the lime in a little bit?
These
I
are
do.
good,
I don't know if you
but
have
they're not as good as when
Oh
the
my
mojito gets delivered at the mall.
Roadie.
A bad day.
When
We
you
had to
need
go
it
to the mall.
desperately.
Our
Yes.
kids were singing at the mall.
Yeah,
Like
like,
Lakeland
like a
Square?
school thing. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a Five
Like
Knives
the
Mall.
county, like trying to encourage kids to register for school.
Oh, yes,
choice.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So our kids were singing, and it was just a bad day. I was like, "Ugh, I need a mojito. Next thing I know, Chris shows up. I probably shouldn't say this, but Chris shows up at the mall.
Yeah,
with a
probably
mojito,
not.
And like a Yeti with a straw sticking out. I'm like, you're my.
Does that count as a roadie?
So it is kind of, but it was just that it had the can. Yeah, the can
Oh,
was
that's-
still in there, just
that's
dropped in with the straw.
Drop it in the
It's like
But
the
it's
best mojito I've ever had.
They'll never know. They'll never know.
Yeah, they'll never know.
How will they know?
It's brilliant. So if a friend ever's having a bad day, show up with a
That's right.
canned drink.
Alcohol fixes a lot.
Takes the edge off.
Even just from
Definitely.
momentarily, you know, all of a sudden big things just don't seem that big anymore.
Exactly, for sure.
You know?
Make some
Yeah,
room
what's
on my
that
little
for you?
Yes.
thing here.
I mean,
Uh,
I know you're doing showcase, so you've got to.
Right.
Have you
This
started working
Thursday is the symphony concert, symphony orchestra.
Yeah, I'm 420.
Oh,
Yeah, that's how I remembered the date. I was like, oh, interesting. Yeah, because I had to get my conflict dates for, because I'm stage managing Orson's, the stage read, and I had to give my conflict dates. And I was like, 420, and he goes, the director, he's like, so you got big plans that day? You know? And I was like, oh, no, I do, but not like that.
Right.
I'm not that cool.
So I'm playing a couple students with the orchestra.
Yeah, no.
Showcase is the next weekend after that.
that's so
Okay.
quick.
And we have our tickets for that.
Yes.
I got tickets.
Okay.
I think I got tickets.
Tell you now that it's kind of a combined thing, because senior showcase always used to be a separate event
Right.
from underclassmen. They combined it last year,
Yeah.
Okay.
kind of an Act 1, Act 2 thing.
Okay.
And the crowd just like exploded, which I mean it would.
Yeah.
If you have all 4 classes there at the same time.
Right.
But it was like an event last year.
Yeah.
We were pleasantly
We hope it's
surprised.
going to be an event.
I love all these events. Like, every time we go to something at Harrison, I'm just, like, blown away.
Oh,
Like,
it's-
And I don't know why I'm blown away, because I've come to sort of expect it, but it's still,
It's always there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they're kids.
yeah.
At the red carpet, like I was just floored. Like the kids out playing the guitar outside.
Oh, I know.
That's truly like, if you want a taste of Harrison, that's the event.
Yes.
Yeah, the red
pricey.
carpet. Well,
Because it's a fundraiser.
Yeah.
Um,
$50 a ticket.
but that's going to give you the snapshot of the school performance-wise.
yeah.
Yeah, that was
We're at about an hour.
Are we?
If
Oh,
that
all right.
matters.
Is that still recording? Because the camera gets a little hot and it might want to shut off. And
They must be doing something right now because
as
No
long as it's
response.
good.
not responding. No, she
Still
said
says recording?
Stage.
We'll let it be.
Cut, so we're just waiting. I'm assuming
Keep
Pinky's
chatting.
probably.
She hasn't sent me any messages, so I think we're good.
Yeah, she must be with you.
And then beyond showcase, the only thing really after that is graduation, which I run on the Lakeland side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I'm the graduation coordinator, which
Holy shit.
How did that come?
What?
Is that
Well, why do you do this to yourself?
I know. And there's no stipend for it either.
Oh my gosh. So you're like literally just kindness of your heart.
Well, the seniors are gone anyways, and I teach all seniors, so like I'm looking for something to do.
Okay.
Right.
But my second year at Lakeland, Alan Cleveland, who had been there for ages, he was my teacher. He said, "Hey, I want you to come and help me do the diplomas." I was like, "Yeah, okay, sure, whatever." Yeah. Which, by the way, diplomas do not come pre-assembled.
Oh, you got it.
You have the cover and the piece of paper and the plastic and the.
Oh.
It's a thing. It's a whole
like
thing.
A real diploma?
Do you get a lot of
Because I
paper
don't know,
cuts?
did I get my real diploma when I graduated, or did they mail it to me?
They had to mail ours. They didn't have them
They
ready.
handed me something, but like I don't
Probably
know.
It was
like-
so long.
Yeah, I
ago
think I
now.
just had the case and then I got the actual certificate in the mail. I feel like that's what happened.
Yeah, I feel like that's
You're
it.
assembling diplomas.
That's
Right, so that happened for
for
like
Lakeland though, so that's a lot of kids.
20 this year.
It's a lot of paper.
Woo!
Yeah.
Right, and
You gotta get those finger condoms.
He was very particular about it. Like before we could walk in the room, he said,
No,
"That's the
finger
box I got."
condoms. You don't have to do that.
The oil would get on the covers. I'm like, "Oh,
You
okay,"
have little white gloves.
but kind of.
Like a museum.
So that happened for like 3 years, and then the lady
Finger
who was
condoms.
I remember the first time I saw those, I'm like, what are those?
For tiny penises.
No, but let me tell you, they work. Like it will totally tear up some pages. Like boom, boom, boom. They work. I've used that.
Well, keep your mic back,
believe
try
you.
to. No, okay.
That's regular condoms,
Right.
not the little
That's
ones.
right, yeah. And these ones have little like prickly things on them. To keep it, the pages getting stuck in there. They're ribbed. They're numbed.
It's got to be worse than the strap on.
Which I brought with me.
Where is your strap on? Oh, okay.
Totally. I didn't even open that up. She opened up that
I
box.
don't remember that.
So I'm not going to get
The strap on thing?
strap on.
I think it's in here.
No, the strap on one I brought up.
Yeah.
She brought up the rib.
Oh.
Yeah,
And I just said that.
I know. We're a bad influence on Angela. That's what it is.
She's
You
turning.
guys think that?
We do think that.
She's like, "Here's the thing.
I was like that a
What you
lot.
don't know."
Keep it all locked up nice and tight.
I only let it out to play at certain times.
Yes. Well, then we
With
should feel
us.
really honored.
Yeah,
You're in the in crowd.
she trusts us and all of you.
Exactly. You're seeing the real Angela. Please stand up.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my goodness. So you say you take a summer break. You like, do you travel? Or do you just
Yes.
relax?
So
Yeah, what are your plans?
Yeah, because he's not going to be here to see Frozen.
true.
I know. I was really bummed when he said that.
Right after, well, actually, right before COVID,
I know. I feel it.
a friend of mine at Lake Gibson has been taking tours with EF Tours,
Oh, yeah.
travel company.
Yeah.
Education First, I think is what it stands for. Yeah, and I'm aware of that one too. Yeah, down in Mulberry. But she said, "Hey, you've got to do this at your school. Like every 6 kids that go, or every 6 travelers, you go free." I was like, "What?
Really?
What?
You're like, oh.
Say less."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right before the pandemic, I was aiming to start that up into like a travel club, quote unquote. Of course, pandemic. But this summer we're going to Eastern Europe, so like Berlin, Prague, and
Oh,
Oh my
nice.
god.
Budapest.
Nice.
Yeah, with about
Nice.
15 travelers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Excellent.
And do you get to go free?
That is
Bonus.
brilliant.
Nice.
Any other chaperones going with you? The parents?
Yes, another teacher on campus is chaperoning, and like 3 other adults who are just traveling.
Okay, perfect.
They'll be
Nice.
around.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, yeah.
I did that in high school. We went to London, Paris, Belgium, somewhere else. I can't remember the other place, but yeah.
And I love it because like for a lot of the people that are going, they would never pick
Can you
up
hold my
something like
like
this.
bag or something like over the camera so it's not like getting drenched?
And we plan it like 2 years in advance.
You know what I mean?
So it's fairly affordable.
Sorry.
I mean, it's definitely like less than a car payment per month. That's what I tell parents at the
I
interest
just
meeting.
like over it like a umbrella.
You could get them a car,
Thank
or you
you.
could send them abroad. And they're like,
So how long is it?
it's a 9-day trip,
Okay.
and it's
long.
fast and furious.
That's a long.
Yeah, but
Last
it's
year's
kind of
trip,
long.
we logged like 20,000 steps a day.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
awesome.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's more than what we did. New York.
The best part about that is you can eat whatever you want because you're walking it off.
Exactly.
It's
That's
like,
how it
yes, the food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wait, I had a question. It just flew out my brain.
And you're going with us to France when we do that.
Yes, in 2024.
Yeah.
Nice.
Go to France. That's
That'll be
I'm trying to
fun.
figure out how that's going to work because I'm taking another tour then,
Oh, really?
and I'm hoping that I can like line it up so I send them back to the States and just come meet you all.
Nice.
We'll take them back.
No, well,
I do it for them.
yeah. I don't think that would work.
That
That's
would
what
not work.
that's why I paused in my brain.
Like I could get them there and
They
then
could
just
take
send them home with
Yeah.
somebody.
So do your 15 kids or whatever, and then send them to meet us.
Mm-hmm.
That could be fun.
Wait, you don't
That
have
could
to
be
go
real
back and
fun.
forth.
Oh, that's the worst part.
Yeah.
And
Once
you
you're over there, it's a
have,
piece of
yeah,
cake.
Well, that
a couple
flight.
day overlap where you can just do whatever you want.
Do you remember that flight when you did it?
Oh, yeah.
That would be
It was forever long. It was not as bad going because we flew into London and then we flew home from Germany, and the Germany home sucked.
That's a long trip.
That was a really long
Yeah,
trip.
Like 10 hours.
We went to Italy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was drunk still
Jeez.
from the night before because I was young and you could drink in Germany.
Oh, yeah.
I think I was 16.
I've gotten that question so often.
Mm.
They're like, so what are you doing about drinks? And I'm like, well, look, it's cultural, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's part of the experience. So if you're of age, you can have one as long as I'm around.
Yeah. But we're
The
not
rat-
getting wasted.
Well, right.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
be an idiot. Right.
No, I was super an idiot.
Wow.
I was. And the teachers weren't there. Like,
Yeah.
they went off and did their own thing, and we got to go roam,
I
but
can remember getting totally lost in Paris and trying to find out
Really?
our way back. We didn't speak French.
that's terrifying.
I know.
And with all the gypsies
Have
and
you
stuff.
not seen the movie Taken?
Well, this was way
Does she
before
get-
that movie.
Yeah. no, I have. I've seen it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also it's way before then.
I will say, last year we ran into some very, very kind Germans at the hotel bar. And that's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
It's a great night.
That was lots of
Everyone
fun.
went to bed, and the adults.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Nice.
lots of fun. There you go.
Fabulous.
And
Well, there you
what was
go.
really funny on that trip too was because everything kept getting delayed. I had two travelers that had long since graduated and were plenty of age,
Oh, nice.
so they were just hanging out with
Oh,
us.
that's
They were no longer students; they had graduated.
Yeah.
Right. That's Michaela when we
Have
go
a
on that
totally
trip.
different relationship now with
When she goes with that, when we go on that trip,
She'll have just graduated.
yeah, she will turn 18 on that trip.
Oh, she
Wow.
gonna have her birthday? That's amazing.
I believe so. So we have a meeting for that on Monday the 8th,
Oh, really?
May 8th.
You better check your
Yeah,
calendar.
I know. Well, you have like 5 calendars, right, that you
True.
follow. Yeah.
I have to write down everything.
It just
I
came
can't
through and
use
remind
this.
like last week.
Yeah,
I've never been able to get on board with the electronic calendar.
Oh,
I don't know.
you like the paper
We'll fit
calendar.
right in at LCT.
I was going to say
The
I
French,
had so many thoughts and I was like, what do I say? What do I say? Yeah,
You
yeah.
have to get that out. You have to get that out.
the French trip though is actually so amazing.
Yeah? Well, you've done
You
it
go
twice
inside?
before, right?
I only went the second time.
I
First
think it
time.
stopped. No, the brain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The first time I just
Thank you.
graduated, heavy into college, that kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
But the one in 2018, amazing. And they really do try to structure it so that it's not just the festival where they're performing.
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't want to give away too much. They're planning.
Yeah.
It's in the works.
That's awesome.
I'm excited. I'm excited for, what we learned. Well, unfortunately, I have a rehearsal scheduled for Orson's that night on the 8th.
Mm-hmm.
And Margaritaville auditions are the 8th and 9th.
Oh.
So I'm actually and I'm SMing that as well. So I'm like super busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'll film
Michaela was going to ASM, but now I'm going to send her with Chris to that meeting. And I told Chris, I was like, just record it, please,
Yeah.
so I can actually listen to everything that gets said. Yeah.
The
I
funniest
can't
part-
wait, though.
Oh, it's
It'll be
great.
such a fun
It's amazing.
trip.
And the venue, just the venue alone, like you're in this outdoor amphitheater. And if you sit up on the top, you look out, and there's the Mediterranean.
Oh, for goodness.
It's killer.
How do you even come back to America?
But they get kids like this from all over the world to
Oh,
come.
yeah.
Like, it's not just, kids from the U.S. that are coming, or, like, it's not just for Harrison's, like,
There was an
kids.
Austrian
It's
group
all over
last
the
time.
world.
Yeah. There was an Austrian group last time, and they had someone come out and play a Matterhorn concerto.
Oh my gosh.
Right. I mean, the whole full-length Matterhorn, and she nailed it.
Oh
We
my
were all
gosh.
just like,
Yeah.
I didn't know
Right.
Wow.
the funniest part, though, was we arrived at the festival location.
They have more than one note? Like,
Sure.
shit. I'm still wrapping my head around that.
And they were like, oh yeah, you just play it like a French horn. I'm like, sure.
I didn't notice there was like things.
Yeah, because that's easily done.
There's not. It has to do something with how you buzz and.
Yeah, it's kind of all in the embouchure. Yes, it's all in your pucker factor.
Not from there, people.
And full circle.
And show.
No, but the hotel they put us up in supposedly was this like Delta resort where they would put up airline employees. I don't know. But it was on the side of a mountain, literally.
Oh my god.
With an incline that had to be 70 degrees.
That's slightly terrifying.
Hoofing up this mountain. And so you can imagine all these Floridians who are used to things just being dead flat.
Yeah. Well, that's a hill outside here. Oops.
Because we have no cardiovascular health going on at all.
Suitcases
like a 1 degree.
Suitcases.
Oh,
Trying to push them up this mountain. And
I could tell like 2 seconds.
I roomed with one of the dance teachers, right? And about halfway up, we both just sat down and I was like, no. No.
Can we call somebody to come get our bags, please?
Yeah, don't they have golf carts to like shuttle you up there?
You're on the side of a mountain and the views at night with a full moon just priceless.
Yeah.
Priceless.
So gorgeous. How fun. I want to go.
I
I
know.
want to go to Europe now.
Stella wanted to go.
We're still in talks about how this is going to go down.
Hours for 2024.
Okay, it's good to know.
London, Paris, Amsterdam, Brussels.
It's at the same.
The trip I did.
So
That's exactly the trip I did.
nice.
It's the red light district.
More than welcome.
I mean, just
Roxanne. Okay. She said red light district.
One day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
That's a return if I have more
That will be
questions.
fun.
Yeah. What else do you got?
Thanks.
Anything you want to talk about? Anything you're excited to?
Anything that's important to know?
Awards.
Yeah.
And
I know.
so you're a poli-sci minor.
Yes.
You're in the chemistry club. Like, is there anything you don't know
What?
about?
So science.
Well, okay. To be fair, the chemistry club was. I mean, it was a thing, but it also like wasn't a thing.
Fluent in Spanish?
Oh, that's
Like
actually the
actually
funnier
fluent?
one. Yeah,
Really?
that's the funnier one because I was the white guy in charge of the Spanish club. It's president of the Spanish club. Yeah, because no one else wanted to do it, and I was like, well, I'll do it. Whatever.
Nice. Hey.
Over a
Nice.
Called opportunity.
Right.
You just walk
That's right.
through that door.
No one else wants it. I'll do it. Fine.
All I have going through my head right now is that thing from Community. Do you remember that thing? Donde esta la biblioteca? You remember watching Community? Do you
No.
watch Community?
No.
Ah, me llamo T-Bone and something in La Reca. I don't remember what it is
Did
now.
not make any sense.
It was just they were taking Spanish in the show Community, where they were at a community college. Did you ever watch that show? You didn't watch
because
it?
I heard Chevy Chase was such a jerk that I boycotted it.
Oh,
Yeah, he
just
wasn't.
watch it before Chevy Chase comes on.
Oh.
Yeah,
Because it kind of goes downhill after he gets on anyway.
yeah,
Oh.
sort of. Yeah.
What's your favorite musical production?
Honestly, Carousel, Rodgers and Hammerstein, which is probably an
I
unpopular
don't think I've
opinion
ever seen that.
Okay.
because it hasn't really aged well, but it's the score.
Oh.
That's why it's my favorite.
Would that be considered a like a golden
Oh, yeah.
whatever? Okay,
Oh yeah,
golden age.
just even I think
Yeah, I don't know that one.
the lore says that Richard Rodgers said it was his favorite score he ever wrote.
Okay, that's not the same Carousel I would have played in band, right? Probably not.
Maybe,
Maybe.
It's been around for a while.
maybe.
Who played
The
Carousel in band?
opening, it's not an overture; it's a prologue, and it's like how the two protagonists meet at this county fair kind of thing, and they
Okay.
both ride the carousel, and
Maybe I need to listen to it.
Story?
Oh, yeah.
Listen to it. Yeah. Okay.
That's cool.
it's very much in the same thread as Oklahoma, just in New England instead of Oklahoma.
Okay. I'll like it instantly better than Oklahoma then.
Oklahoma gets a bad rap.
It deserves it.
Well, if you see a good production that actually like moves along, it's not so bad. I think that's the problem with Golden Age musicals, is you see too many bad productions that are just like forever long. You're like, oh my gosh, when is it over?
Make it
Yeah.
stop.
When you reach intermission, you're like, fuck, I still have another hour of this.
Yes, yes, but
Every
like,
time there's a pause, like,
Well, we saw it at Harrison a few years back.
We did.
Amazing
It
production.
was
But
was.
Everybody bailed on me at halftime.
Yeah.
The kids like, we're not leaving.
I love that you just said halftime.
and honestly, that was one of the better productions of Oklahoma I've ever seen.
It was great.
So yeah,
It's just a long.
It's just,
It's
yeah,
long.
it's really long.
It's long.
Draggy parts. It was, had nothing
you also
to
have
do
to
with
think
who
like
was
to that
leading.
time, right? people were paying top dollar to escape for however
5
I
hours.
wanted it an evening.
It was 5 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
And now we're like, hour and a half? Great.
Yes.
Yeah.
90 minutes?
Sign me
Yes.
up.
Yes.
This is like,
You all went to see 6, right?
yeah.
Well, we sent Pinky with her family
Yes. It was perfect.
because the tickets were freaking crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, but they were worth it.
It's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not ashamed to admit that.
Yes.
Good.
It was so good.
I mean, I
It's
love
so
listening to
darn
music.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
They're
so
all a
involved
bop,
in it.
as the
You're
kids say.
you're
As the
part of
audience
it.
member, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of wish we had gone to see it
I
now.
wish you had too.
Yeah.
You would have
Well,
loved
maybe
it.
next
It'll
time.
be there.
Yeah.
It'll be around.
But I'm, big Tudors fan anyway in that era and everything. I can read to get my hands on that. But
It's so inventive, too, you know?
yeah. Like,
Why not a musical about the 6 wives who get to tell their own
From their
stories?
point of view.
yeah, and like
Yeah.
how they came up with like the concept for how they were gonna create that character in music form.
Yeah. It was great.
Yeah.
So good.
And I appreciate, too, that the composers thought of, like, a different pop diva
Yeah.
Mhm.
for each one of them. That's smart, too. That's smart composing.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth seeing. Next time.
Yeah. Next
year.
time.
What else did you all see this most recent trip?
So I saw Moulin Rouge, Hades Town, and Harry Potter
Mm.
and the Cursed Child.
Still can't figure out some of that magic.
I know.
I felt
Did
like
they
I know.
polyjuice somebody on stage?
Okay, so I saw it.
Oh, did you?
I did see it. I was
No,
watching.
keep the secret. Keep the secret.
Okay.
Don't do it.
When the polyjuice is
I mean, they changed a whole person
it's
on
when they
stage.
change the
Oh,
person.
they changed
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you what I think happened.
Yeah.
No one
I
ever-
saw it.
No one will ever tell you.
So
I was watching though. I was overly critically watching because
Right.
Laura was like, "You're not going to be able to guess how they do all of this magic," and
You're
I
like,
was like,
"Actually."
"I saw all of it. I feel like I could guess it, all of it."
the part that got me was when they went into the phone booth. Like,
I saw it.
I was like, what?
I saw that one too.
Oh, see, I didn't.
I feel like
but
I
I
did,
don't
but
think
I
I
can't
wanted to see
remember.
it. I think I wanted to keep it like a mystery. But to me, that was just amazing.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to dig it for my imminent.
If you want to know,
No, we don't want to.
I will tell you
No.
what I saw. But it was really well
That
done.
was amazing.
However, that was really too long.
That was a long show.
That
a
show
slog.
was
It's
too
like
long.
3.5
And I
hours.
can't, what is amazing to me about that is Laura told me that that's the slimmed down version of the show that you
Yeah.
used to have to
2 parts.
two shows. Buy 2 separate tickets to 2 separate
I feel like
shows.
they didn't have to keep coming and going so many times. Like, leaving, like, just wrap it up, you know? Have
And
it
I was trying to figure out what
and
was,
go
like,
back and see
missing.
them and have it done.
Like what
Yeah.
they had paired out of it, because I couldn't see any like gaps
No, and I
or any
just
jumpy
read the
parts.
book right
Yeah.
before we went.
Right.
And it felt like it pretty much stuck to the
So
trajectory of the book. Yeah, I don't know what.
Which
I don't know.
volume was it after?
So it's a book.
It's
It's
post.
a literal script, like called The Cursed Child.
yeah,
Yeah, it's new, but in a 19,
Yeah.
or not 19, so the last book jumps ahead 19 years and gives you a little glimpse of Harry Potter, Hermione, and Ron and what their life is like 19 years after the end of the book.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
That
and the
is-
kids are at school.
and that they're
Which
sending
was-
off
which was
their
the play that we just all
exactly.
Yes. Gotcha.
So the play picks up pretty much like right there.
Okay.
That's what you're seeing when they're in the train station at the very beginning of the show.
Right. They're sending off their child.
Yeah.
And you're trying
Yeah.
to figure out.
I'm trying to remember what we saw. We did Moulin Rouge with you guys.
You saw MJ with the
MJ.
lady.
What was that?
You should watch was it the last podcast or the one before?
2 ago.
2 of them ago.
But you did a little snippet.
She talked about MJ and it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
It was because there was these little ladies.
No.
Hey! Long time no see. Welcome to our podcast.
You're on the podcast. Hi.
How are you? What are you up to?
Um,
What are you doing these days?
date.
Oh, okay, go. Yeah. We love you.
Another celebrity.
Yeah.
I did not love it.
Okay.
The dancing and singing, fabulous.
Right.
The storyline, just
That's my fear. Like that's why I haven't gone to see it.
yeah. It was. I was telling them parts of it were hard to understand because they spoke like Michael Jackson. There's 2 different actors that played like the teenager one and the older one, and they spoke in that high pitched voice,
Mhm.
soft voice, and you were like, what? You
Right.
Yeah.
to hear. And they cut out a lot of the controversy. They kind of glossed over some of the different.
Sure.
So it's kind of.
I've heard they picked that guy off of YouTube.
He was a,
Really?
he was
Like
crazy.
I've heard they went through multiple rounds
Yeah.
of auditions. They were like, we don't have our guy, and they went to YouTube and found him.
He was
He's probably
so
an
good.
impersonator.
He just
or
left
something.
too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, he did. What
He
was
just,
his name?
uh,
Yes. No, you're at Foster.
Miles Foster?
Frost. Frost. Is it
Something
Frost?
like around something with those letters.
So we're gonna Google it right this second.
Some combination of those letters.
Okay, so
Sue and
What's that? Oh, Little Shop of Horrors.
like the off-Broadway one.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, I saw something else.
I know they saw Anne Juliet.
We
Yeah,
saw
you
Anne
saw
Juliet,
6.
and it was fantastic.
Really?
Yes.
Like a '90s jukebox, right?
Yeah, and I love the jukebox. I know that kind of probably sounds a little superficial, but I love jukebox.
A jukebox can be done well.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, because
Most often they're not, but like
Yeah.
it can be done well.
escape whatever it is you got, and you sit down and like because Moulin Rouge is like that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you just immediately connect to not only the storyline but obviously to all of the
This one.
songs.
Oh my
it's
God.
the
I've been hearing ramping up.
Oh, I get it. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is this motion?
Somebody's
Keep
in the
doing
bathroom.
it. Yeah.
They are. Hold on, we're gonna see that. Miles Frost.
Yeah.
Miles Frost.
Cool. He's
So,
going
yeah.
to stop right here.
I just like the whole concept of Anne Juliet. My English teacher brain
Yeah.
scratches that right spot.
Yes, with the Shakespeare, because I'm going to tell you, like, I did not know that his wife's name was Anne Hathaway. No idea. So completely educated on all of that. And what was her role? Like, obviously, I'm sure it was just the way they portrayed it. She was home raising the kids. He's out being this brilliant,
He's in the city. Yeah.
masterpiece writer, whatever. And she's like, hey, when do I get to have a say? And I want to write this book. And Juliet should have her own ending that isn't so traumatic and horrible. Let her write it. So yeah, it was very I am woman,
Well, and like
feminism.
the common knowledge tells us that their relationship was always fraught.
Right.
Like
So quick, right?
when he died, he left her the second best bed in the home.
Oh, you're talking about William Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I did not know
Like
that.
that's what was in the will for her. The second best bed in their house.
Who got the best bed?
I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
But like, yeah, it was not good because he was always away.
Yeah.
He was always in London. She was up in
I bet
Stratford.
there was always somebody in his bed. Probably not his wife. I mean, one could deduct.
Could they?
I mean, he clearly wasn't respected to his wife. Are you laughing at me?
I don't know this.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm just going to connect some dots.
Okay.
Like,
Some hypothesizing?
yeah, we're going to totally hypothesize.
And of either sex, too.
Right.
Yeah.
And of
that,
their sex.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
that feels expected.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't say I'd be a woman. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like, so maybe that was the whole point of it. Do you feel? Maybe he felt like he had married a woman so that he could have a secret life.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yes.
Are there books on that?
Probably.
Like I read a lot of historical fiction stuff. I love historical fiction. Yeah, maybe I need to look for that. See if I can find
There's a
something.
great one. I haven't read it, but it's something to the effect that like it imagines that Shakespeare found this trunk of stories of someone else,
Okay.
and then somehow passed them off as his own.
Oh, so he was supposedly like a total fraud to begin with.
That's what it imagines. Yeah,
Oh,
Interesting.
which some people
Defense.
believe that actually,
Yeah.
but they're all borrowed.
Wow.
Yeah.
How would we ever know?
It's so long ago.
So you have your time machine.
Yeah.
So we have that. Well, Chat GPT,
Well,
we're not far away.
We're going to have the singularity well before we have time travel.
Great.
We're done for. What was that? You were
That's so
telling me.
dark.
Huh? The
That's so
singularity?
dark.
Yeah.
That's so pessimistic.
It's look, we're either gonna or we're already in a simulation and it will just reset like Matrix. It explains a lot of things like deja vu.
I get that. I get deja vu.
Just saying.
It's past life.
You think deja vu is a past life?
Interesting.
I'm convinced I was a gay bird watcher in a past life.
You have said that before.
Were you William Shakespeare?
No.
A gay bird watcher is William Shakespeare?
Well, maybe yes. You never know. Who knows?
Don't you ever find this
Maybe she was Anne Hathaway.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Don't you ever find weird things?
Also,
like,
why have
do I
we
like that?
Well, why have we not connected about birds?
I don't actually.
Yeah, exactly. Why have you not?
You're not of the like birds are not real.
No, actually,
Not of that.
so
Okay.
in a former
She was
life,
probably
I was an animal trainer at SeaWorld in Discovery Cove, and I did aviculture. Went on to do other things.
Yeah, you got like a lot of things going on in your background.
Yeah. So animal trainer. So when I was 13, because I have no idea if this is going on the podcast, I'll go ahead and hash it out. When I was 13, I volunteered at the Bird Store in Orlando. That's what it was called.
Is that still a thing?
It is. Last I checked, they're still in business, but I think the owner actually died. His name was Don. He's an older guy. Yeah, I think he had some cancer, and last I had heard, it was not good. I think he passed. I could be wrong. I would love for him to still be alive, just for the record. So I did that for like a summer, I think.
Whether Chat GPT does that one.
We're listening, we promise.
So I did that for like a summer when I was 13. Then when I was 16, I got a job cooking birds instead and went work for Chick-fil-A. I did that real quick. I did that for like a year.
Yeah, just
Then I stopped doing that and I went back to the bird store for like a couple of years, and Chris was like, you really should just go try to get that job at SeaWorld, even though I didn't yet have my degree. And that's one of their requirements, right? Like you have to have your bachelor's, blah, 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 animal training, psychology, whatever. So I went for it and I got into education over there. So got my foot in the door and then got promoted in education to working with the animals that the ed team works. So like penguins, the turtles, sharks that you get to touch, an alligator, like some fish, stuff like that.
The penguins, though.
Yeah, the penguins. Man, they are some stinky, stinky birds.
Yeah, they are.
So, oh man. I know, it a gag a maggot. It's bad.
Gag a what?
Gag a maggot.
I've heard that before. I've heard that phrase.
Yeah, because maggots feed on shit. So like, you know.
So bad.
Anyway.
It would gag a maggot?
Yes, the smell would gag a maggot. Anyway.
I'm familiar. I'm that southern.
Okay, I got that from my mom. That's her phrase.
I've never heard that.
Really? Yeah.
Hear that in my toolbox. Okay, so penguins, are they nice? Could they be like rude or mean?
It depends on the penguin. A lot of them are assholes.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, but the bigger ones can like break your femur. They can slap so hard.
Really?
Yeah.
Slap like they're
Like this bone, this big one in your thigh. That's your femur, right?
Yeah, that's your femur.
Yeah, they can break that. They can break
Say,
that.
like,
My
slap their
gosh.
wings?
Yeah,
Like,
so
thank you.
no, with their wings.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, they just hit you with their flipper.
Oh,
And
jerks.
they can break you. Yeah.
Okay, so you asked earlier, I was a poli-sci minor.
Yes.
Because I needed some sanity away from the English and education stuff. And I had room in my schedule. And that was actually really the most fascinating coursework I think I took. I took an international law class. Because
that was interesting.
it fulfilled, right. And this guy has been teaching international law for like 30 years at USF. Okay. He's a pro. Like, 1 week we didn't have class because he was in Brazil at some conference presenting. Right. So he would bring in these yellow legal pads, right? And they've got years worth of coffee stains and crumbs and all who knows what caked on. He would,
Maggots.
Happy.
and he would flip through a couple of them, kind of study for a little bit, and then he'd just walk around the room and talk for 30 minutes
Oh my god.
About whatever.
about whatever topic, right, of the day. And you're sitting there furiously, just as fast as you can get it on the page.
Yeah.
And then he'd go back and he'd look for about 5 minutes, and another pass around the room for a half hour.
Yeah.
And it was just fascinating.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
What am I going to have to regurgitate? Because I'm not
Right.
sure.
Yeah. What is the test
and-
going to be on?
Exactly.
Like, it was almost like being in law school. I
Wow.
Yeah.
imagine. That thick, you have to read the cases and report.
International law, though,
That'd
like,
be interesting.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing about international law is there's no, like, set boundaries. It's all just by agreement and by, like,
yeah,
shake of the hand.
Oh, like what feels good that day?
yeah, sort of.
If you sign onto a treaty, you're
Politics.
bound by it, but, like,
But other than that,
it's all just agreement. Yeah.
Well, and
hey, I'll get you.
I bet it's very fluid, really,
Oh,
like
sure.
based on the political climate.
And, you know, you can just choose not to abide by a treaty if you want to, because you're an autonomous sovereign nation.
Yeah, so who's going to enforce it?
Right.
And then there's no precedent being set.
And that's the point. There's no precedent for anything.
No, so that makes it difficult to.
Huh?
So that's a cool class.
Interesting.
And then I had,
Yeah.
do you remember on Channel 8 News, they might still have her on occasionally, Susan McManus, they're like political,
I really suck at names.
Blonde lady. She's been on all the time. I haven't seen her in a while. But she taught state government and politics. And it was only on Wednesday nights, and it was like 3 hours, and it filled up like that.
I bet.
Because she was such a personality in Tampa, right? So I took that class one semester, and that was great.
Interesting.
No. I also had to like quiet quit my church job that semester because
Is that before quiet quitting was a thing?
Yeah.
just piano. Yeah.
And he's just showing up on Sundays playing the piano. Like, not doing any extras. Just...
Well, Wednesday night was like rehearsal night, so it wasn't that important.
Right. You knew what you were right. Yeah. I mean,
Right. It's fine.
just doing the bare minimum.
It was my Highland Park days.
Yeah. I didn't realize you were there.
Well, so like,
Oh, no, I just because I know they had gone. That's not okay. I know they had gone through some controversy.
Oh, did they?
Recently.
I don't know.
I didn't know about that.
They soccer. That's all I know.
yes, I
Recently?
was there
A
from
couple years ago.
Oh, okay.
let's say 07 to 2015.
Oh, yeah, because the pastor left. I remember all that. Hoopla. They just got a brand new sports person, too.
Oh,
Yeah, head of the sports.
That's a huge program.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it's large. And it's going to take more than one person to get it back on.
Someone told me like on a Saturday they'll have 5,000 people.
I believe
Free food.
Yes.
That's crazy.
we've done soccer
Yes.
there. It's painful.
Yeah. So we've been taking Max to soccer there since he was like 4 and he's 12 now. So we've been there a long time and we've seen it ebb and flow.
Sure.
And they'll improve one area and you'll see another area kind of drop. But they definitely need a team and like a culture shift. They kind of make things,
I get that.
Yeah, it needs to be a rec soccer situation,
Mhm.
not a rec league, and let's have all of these other kids come on that,
Oh shit, it's a face-off.
Oh, God. It's chicken.
what?
What?
There's a train and a train. They're
Oh,
facing
okay.
each other. Oh shit.
Yeah, they're playing chicken, but they're engines.
Yes. He's popping
I
his
feel like we're all
brakes.
at the meeting point.
Yeah. He's popping his brakes and he's setting his alarm. Down there dinging.
What are they going to do?
He's not honking his horn. He's just like dinging
There's
his
also
bell.
like no B track, is there? Isn't there just one track?
Yeah, I think so.
Houston.
Okay.
We got a problem.
I don't know. Some serious
Right,
standoffs.
that's kind of why.
Okay.
Like, did they not plan that shit ahead of time?
Yeah,
I
really.
feel like
Yeah, like trains run on a schedule, maybe.
She's ready.
would have thought.
Just what
But that's
Oh,
part of the reason I left was the culture shift.
Yeah.
It needs.
Yeah.
It needs to happen. And it will. And what they need to realize is that not to just go for whoever's bringing in the most money, because that will happen organically. If you make a good program,
That's right.
make it what it's supposed to
People
be
will want to
about.
come.
Yeah.
People will come, and that will follow. You can't.
That's how I
just-
feel about Harrison. Like, if you keep presenting good material, people are going to want to come.
Yeah.
The recruit. I mean, you should still recruit because there are lots of great programs in Lakeland of all instrumental, theatrical,
Yeah.
whatever you want to.
What are some other ones? Because like we're very informed on Harrison, but we're less informed on others.
Yeah. So for our listeners who might not be from around this area,
Jenkins runs a great orchestra program.
okay.
Yeah.
Is that Shelby's program?
Montgomery,
Okay, yeah.
She's
She's awesome.
And it's really kind of a 6-year program because most of them go through Lakeland Highlands and then they loop right up into Jenkins. And she
Okay.
runs both places.
amazing. Stella had her.
Yep.
She runs both places.
She's itinerant.
I didn't know that
Mm.
because
Yeah, she goes back.
Michaela went to Lakeland Highlands, but she was in band, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, she's part-time at both. So.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, good for her.
She's
Yep.
great.
Also, wow, she's busy.
The chorus program at Lakeland is strong of its own right. They're performing at Carnegie Hall this weekend.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So there used to be this mindset, and part of it was the different people in charge, whatever. But there used to be a mindset where if you didn't make it into Harrison for chorus, well, you should just not bother, and that's definitely not the case
Like,
now.
end all be all.
Right.
Yeah.
Trying to think. There's a great piano teacher down at Bartow. If you're looking for that kind of thing, I mean,
Nice.
Harrison is great, but it's not for everybody.
Right.
Right. Oh, goodness. What?
My mom's
My eyes are yellow.
Yeah, she's.
Oh, are you filling up? We should maybe be done then. Like, break.
Break. I'm
Parting shots?
Walk over there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Could do another one of these.
Oh, I didn't mean like that. I meant topics.
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 We could talk all day.
I had so much fun.
Yeah.
Cyber.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we could definitely have you on again.
I do wonder
Have a
where
whole
some of that
other-
information is.
Well, I mean, there was like,
Go pee.
What was it?
Go pee.
I mean, it's all out there, so like whatever. But like,
All right, yes, we're done. Bye.
Think where my brain is.
Exactly.